Every time I click on
I cannot really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I might rent the Lambo and go drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Stumbling out the Uber, grab my hand, gave me the notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I was sipping more for 2 years straight to the face. Champagne belly bubbles still won't go away. Last year my best man hit a stain with bad face. Now he's gotta help beyond the
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you guys for joining us for another episode of This, That, and the Third with Shannon and Hook.
What's up?
Hey, Shannon, am I good this week? Am I sideways or am I right side up?
No, you're right side up this week.
Good.
It's perfect.
Hey,
No
just call me tech.
technical difficulties.
Hey, just call me tech support, right? IT. All right. So tonight we're going to be discussing just how accountable should parents be for the actions of their children. And if you didn't already know, this topic really stemmed from a situation here in Colombia where a mom was actually arrested for, or in relation rather to some things that her child actually did, her 13-year-old son. So we thought it would be something that we can really talk about. And I want to be clear, we're not here to judge anyone or cast aspersions or questions anyone's parenting techniques, because we all know, because I know that I'm not the same type of parent that my mom was. So I do parenting a little differently. My mom didn't spare the rod, I spared a little bit. So it's just a little bit of a different dynamic. And I'm from a small town called Allendale, South Carolina, and a lot of the things going on, we experienced there. A lot of the kids running rampant, shooting, robbing, killing people. And the question always comes up from, the citizens that are there and us that no longer live there, like how accountable should the parents be? Like, where are the parents in all this? Why are they so quiet? So we just thought it would be something good to talk about. Shannon, now what do you think about the topic? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
It's so funny to me because, we did grow up in a different era. So my mom always knew I was, you'd be home when the street light come on. Like, that was the rule. So, like, growing up, having children now, having to raise children now, and they have so much more freedom, it feels like, children are out much later and things like that. This has really become a really big topic where I feel like when we were younger, your parents knew where you was, right? You was at grandma's house, auntie house,
No, they
down the
didn't.
street. My mom
They
knew
didn't
where I
know.
was.
Mine knew I was too.
Get home before that street light turn on. Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
Nobody
everybody knew where I
knew where we
was
were.
because the neighborhood, it was a village. Everybody knew you, knew your people. Don't you be acting up out here because somebody gonna get you. So I'm interested to the topic. I'm ready to see what y'all got to say. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably the biggest thing because like you were saying, our parents really didn't know where we were. They thought they knew where we were, but even if they didn't, they had eyes everywhere, so they knew people that knew people, and they knew who's, you know what I mean. So
Well, that
they knew
part,
whose
that's
child
what
you
I
were.
mean.
So
Like,
I think the village aspect also plays
yeah.
a big part in it too. But we have 4 guests here, 3 actually. And we want you guys to go ahead and introduce yourselves, tell us who you are. They're going to be helping us along with the conversation. And April, ladies are first, so we're going to begin with you.
Thank you all so much, and thank you for the invite. Good evening, everyone. My name is April Morgan. I live in the Midlands. I have been an educator for 23 years. I have worked in several school districts in the state of South Carolina. I also have a background in mental health and have worked with child and adolescents in the area of mental health and support. Currently, I serve as an assistant administrator for a school district in South Carolina, and I am happy to be here and share information.
Good deal. All right, Fred, what you got?
Hello, everybody. I am Fred Bryan. I am thrilled to be on here today to talk about this subject. I appreciate the invite. I am in law enforcement, began my law enforcement career almost 23 years ago. I'm currently in the role as a lieutenant. I've been in the command position for the past 8 years, and majority of my career I've been in criminal investigations. So that's me.
All right, good deal.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dion Generette. I'm the founder of 7 Sunday, and Dapper and Distinguished Gentlemen, where we work with young men from the ages of 10 to 18, cultivating them, teaching them life lessons, financial literacy, conflict resolution, presentation, entrepreneurship, all these things. And I'm also the vice chair for Richland County First Steps, dealing with the young people, from 0 to 5, preparing them for school. And if you're free on February the 2nd, we're celebrating 6 years of 7 Sunday at Koga Center. We'd love to have you. And thank you to This, That, and the Third podcast for having me tonight.
And that's February 2nd at what time, Dion?
February the 2nd, doors open at 3:30. The show starts at 4:30. It's black tie. It's a good time. I promise you're going to have a good time. We have honorees, the mayor, the coroner. We have Councilwoman Barron, Ija Charles, Boogie Brown. It's a bunch of people. But the whole purpose of it is I survived a heart attack 7 months ago, along with talking about the resiliency of entrepreneurship and things of that nature. So it's a community event, and all the funding goes towards my nonprofit to work with young men for the summer camps that we have, not only in Florence County, Richland County, but also in Mecklenburg.
Good deal. We definitely got to check that out, man. We appreciate you for letting us know. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. And you don't have to go in any particular order. If you feel moved to answer, feel free. Also, I know we were talking backstage, and I do understand that with some of your profession, there may be things you have to shy away from or steer clear of, and we totally understand. So by all means, don't feel any pressure. But we'll go ahead and get started, man. So and I'll just open it up to everyone. So first question, what are the potential benefits of focusing on preventive measures and community support programs to address the root causes of juvenile delinquency rather than solely punishing the parents?
This is April. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You need me to read that again? I know it was pretty long, pretty late.
Yeah.
It's a long one.
I know. All right, so what are the potential benefits of focusing on preventive measures and community support programs to address the root causes of juvenile delinquency rather than solely punishing the parents?
Can I jump in?
Jump in.
Okay, to answer that question, I would say 1, educating parents. Children do not come with a manual. Each child is different. Each child's needs are different. And as parents and over the generations, our students or our children have different challenges. And so you don't have a manual, and you need support. You need to hear how things are going with other parents so you don't feel like you're the only one in this battle, especially when they become teenagers. And then that way you can have the information that you need to make the journey of being a parent a little bit more happy.
And I'm going to agree with that. We talked a little bit off camera about how things were when we were growing up and coming up. And most of the things we learned came from our parents. We didn't have social media or all this outside influence coming in. So as parents, education and educating them is extremely important, because if not, the child is going to learn everything they learn from social media and all these outside sources that's coming into them. So.
I know for me, like, I just remember being young and having many places to go as an outlet, like free things, like being able to go to Earlwood Park and hang out and and go to community centers. And it doesn't seem like kids have that same, those same kind of outlets now. Like they're taking away those things that help parents raise their children in the community, or they're no longer free. You have to pay for them, so they're not utilized as much. So I think in reinvesting in things like that may help be preventative measures, so your children don't get caught up in gangs, don't get caught up in bad situations. Because it feels like, and I may be wrong, my kids are 28 and 26, that these kids just ain't got nothing to do. Dion, what you want to say? I see you like chomping at the bit.
It's like you holding back over there.
Yeah.
I'm just go along with the flow right now. I'm listening. Preventative methods is that what I heard.
Yes.
And this conversation will continue to be an issue, because the issue is, how do you, even though we keep utilizing the line of there's no manual that comes with being parents, how do you instill in the parents' mindset that their child is a part of their legacy and that they need to manage or supervise, so to speak, the same way they do their professions? Because in these situations, most of these parents, a lot of parents, are thriving or chasing success, so to speak, and that comes with some type of management. But usually in that setup, it comes with neglect too, because that child doesn't get the attention that they need. They come for a single parent home, and then a lot of times some people do throw the tablet there. So it still calls for the parents to have a mindset of supervision. And I think we've gotten away from that, and social media or the internet or tablets have taken over where parenting should be in place. So I think going back to that place where parents, like, they don't have to have a phone at 2. They don't have to have a tablet at 2. You wouldn't give a baby a Uzi and be like, yo, just have fun. No, you wouldn't. You monitor it. You teach them. You put controls on, and as they progress and grow and mature, you give them certain access and certain freedom. I think the thing is now, there, even though we mentioned the community aspect of it all, where you couldn't go because Miss So and So was over there. All of us lived in the same neighborhoods. We progressed so well till we live in the suburbs now. Some of us don't even speak to our neighbors, let alone know who they are. So that aspect has changed. So now with a new thing, we got social media also included. So it's back to parenting. It's going to be parenting, and that's why. And I hate to be jumping ahead of the gun. Yes, parents should be held accountable.
That's your thesis. That's it right there.
Yeah.
One of the key phrases in that question I asked were community support programs, right?
Yeah.
When we were growing up, the only community support program we had was the village. Like, it wasn't anything formal. We didn't have like groups or anything like that. But I was raised by a single mom. But I knew that when I went in the street, no matter where, being from a small town, it kind of comes with the territory anyway. But no matter where I went, everybody know, oh, that's Blossie's son. That's Blossie. You know what I mean? So they knew if they didn't know me, they knew of me. You know what I'm saying? So I had to be careful about what I did and who I did it around.
Right.
And to your point though, Dion, like, because I'm friendly with my neighbors, but they don't have a relationship with my kids, or I see them and I speak and stuff like that. But back in the day, everybody knew everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So and there was a vested interest there. So it's
and a willingness.
And that's another part of it. You gotta be willing.
Now our parents wanted to know who was around and who was gonna have access to their children. We have become like, oh, this is our fortress, and we don't mess with them people over there. We don't even know, but they right next door to us, and if something go off, that's going to affect us. And it's like, that's that mindset again. And I deal with this because with mentoring young men, a lot of those situations, that child has been taught that mindset. And then, you know, that boy grows to a certain level. Now the mother, where she's been nurturing him, giving him all this access, he can do whatever he wants. Now she wants to put restraints on him. And it's like, will you step in and help me? It's like, well, I was here before. And when I try to correct him, you correct me in front of him. So what's the point? Like, you really want me to come in and fix something after you just open the door to what you're experiencing? So that's why I say with the parenting part, you can't, I think it's unfair. Kids are going to be kids, but you can't like birth this free, giving all types of freedom with no type of responsibility or accountability, and think that that person or that child is going to grow up and know how to function well in society. So it goes to the household. It doesn't matter the church, the community, or whoever. It has to start at home. So,
yeah, and to your point, because you talk about parents have to be willing to allow their kids to be chastised as well. Before the new year, like in December, I was on a meeting with some other parents and some school officials because our kids had to make up some hours that they missed or whatnot, right? And the only thing I heard, the only thing I saw in the comments with the parents, they made so many excuses for their kids. Like, my child did this, and this person didn't let my child on the bus, and I'm a single parent, so there was never any accountability. There was never, you know what I mean? Like, what can we do to overcome this? It was all my child is really just making excuses, and I think that's a huge part of it because we are holding some of these kids accountable.
Yes, this is I consider this an excuse generation.
yeah.
Because, you know, they use it a lot. You know, you have those parents that, you know, I have relatives that used to get on my nerves, and I used to always say, oh, he's sleepy, or oh, he tired, or, you know, things of that nature. And it's like, no, he bad. It is what it is. You know, call it what it is, you know. But that's the thing, you know, as parents, you want to make excuses, but, you know, that accountability word is huge. Once you know, you need to start telling your kids to be accountable. You got to teach them to be accountable, because if they don't see that from you, then that's all they're going to know.
Call a spade, huh? Do you think any of so like we talked about how we didn't spare the rod back in the day. I know my mother didn't, right? But today, you can't just do that. You gonna DSS coming to show up.
Right. I want to jump in on that one.
You. So the ways parents used to discipline, now I've seen some parents feel intimidated to do the same type of discipline because they are scared of being in trouble that way.
What?
Yeah, that I'm gonna chime in on that one. That Shannon is true. Here's what I'm gonna say. I'm piggyback on what Dion, Fred, and Shannon said. So the permissiveness that we see with some parents, not all parents, could be out of guilt. Like you said, if they're absent, then of course now they're feeling guilty. So in order to make up for that absenteeism, the time that they've been working, they're gonna get the child almost anything and everything that they want. Plus, as a parent, you feel good when you can provide for your children, okay, or your child. Now, Shannon is absolutely correct. Yes, there are laws out there, and you know, you call parents to the school. You know, they can't wail on their children. If they do, then law enforcement can get involved. And so you don't want to put a parent in a sticky situation. So just me, when I'm making that phone call to the parent on the other line, I try to de-escalate any situation that may cause violence interaction. Years and years and years ago, when I was a school teacher, I called the parent and I made the sad mistake is he came to my classroom door and he cold cocked his son's nose was just bleeding. I could have gotten in trouble for that as a classroom teacher. The next time I called them up there, this time I made sure that I had reinforcement and I had an admin ready, and we stood between the child and the dad, you know, so that way there wouldn't be any violence or his child being a victim during that time of us trying to get to the bottom of something. So I do believe that parents can be fearful of what their child may go back and say and how it may look, and DSS getting involved. But then also, I believe you just have to rear your child. And as my son would say, and he said it before, he said that I just, you know, mentally got in his head and he was afraid to do anything because he knew I would catch him and I would hold him accountable. I'm going to share one other thing about accountability. I remember when I think he was 5 or 6 years old, and I had to go off to an event with the school, and the librarian from South Carolina State kept him at her home. Well, first time visiting this lady's home, he was over there with another child, jumping on the bed, and broke the shade of her ceiling. When I found out about it, of course, I apologized, but I made him come home and empty his piggy bank and roll up all the pennies. And we went to Home Depot, repurchased that shade, took him back to the lady's house, made him apologize, and he learned not to do that again. So sometimes
Yeah,
it
he
doesn't
wanted
always
his pennies. He
right,
took his
and it
money.
doesn't require a physical, because my mom, she had 11 of us. She majored in butt cut. You hear me? So it doesn't always require a physical measure, but someone needs to learn a lesson. And so I was creative on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I remember being at Hyde Park Elementary and getting my hand popped by the teacher for misbehaving in class. And that taught me, yeah, but that taught me not to do that crap no more. Don't.
Now
But
back
those
then
type of
it was
type of things to do to discipline children have, they're no longer allowable. But is that causing some of the problem?
Yeah. And I was gonna say, because back in the day they had corporal punishment. We used to call it getting the paddling. You know what I mean? So and the principal and the vice principal had a long, thick wooden paddle on the hanging on the wall. You go there, you get in trouble. He's gonna give you an option. Do you want 5 days home, or do you want a paddle? Needless to say, I'd rather go ahead and get that paddling than go home and face my mom, right? And I think what April said is the perfect segue into what I wanted to ask next, because my mom was a stern disciplinarian, and she obviously a single mom. So she said, when we talk about it now, she said she had to be that way. She had to be tough on me and my siblings. But I was a good kid, but I honestly can't say that I did everything by the book when I was not in my mom's presence. Even if I knew that
I did.
Like
right.
nothing big though. Like I wouldn't do anything major, just little mischief. But she instilled those values in me. But when I wasn't around her, I can't say that I stuck to it 100%. So my question is, can parents realistically be expected to predict or prevent criminal behavior in their kids?
Last part for me, please. Repeat that last part. Just the last part.
Can they realistically be expected to predict or prevent criminal behavior in their kids?
Have anybody?
I mean, little Johnny bad. Little Johnny bad when he's stealing candy bars out the grocery store. He's gonna be a little thief when you coming in your house and your quarter jar getting lower and lower and lower and lower. Somebody taking it, right?
The prevent word is what's bothering me. The predict, I would say no, but prevent. I mean, a lot of kids show signs early on, but again, the problem is that parent that don't want to see it or want to call it something else or cover it up. So the predict, I would say yes. Some of these kids, at an early age that it's going to be a problem.
Oh,
you got Chucky. You got Chucky on your hand. You got,
And guess what? Dion, I just want to ask y'all this: food for thought. What if the parent doesn't have the cognitive ability to do the prevention or the prediction? Because when I was a kid, I thought every grown up was smart and knew everything.
What?
I said when I was a kid. Yeah.
No. The what is because as an adult, I thought that and think that too. And then I'd be like, what in the heck?
Right. And I told you my background is in special education. So as I grew up as an adult and realized that some folk, while we're of a particular chronological age, we might not be of the same mental age or maturity level. Yeah. And so therefore, sometimes, and I'm not giving an excuse because there's plenty of resources out there, and definitely you got Big Ma to help you. But some parents really don't know better. So,
hey, this, that, and the third adult parenting school.
Yes.
Oh, no, we ain't got time.
I do a workshop.
We ain't got time. Lord. We ain't got time.
No, listen. Great point you made, April. Like the cognitive ability, because the truth of the matter is, everybody knows how to do what it takes to make a child, but when that child gets here, do they have what it takes in order to rear this child is key. Because to what we were talking about not too long ago, you would see the behaviors of a child in that 0 to 5 range if they had some sticky fingers. In fact, they start to cultivate themselves as a baby. Even the first thing they learn is manipulation because they can't communicate. So when they cry because they learn, hey, when I do this, guess what? She might respond close to what I want. So I keep doing stuff or whatever. So now you see the behaviors, like a pattern of behavior starts to form, and this child starts to think, oh, this is the way I should be because this helps me get to what I want to get to. Or Lil Ray Ray bad, and that's what we saying now. But then now Lil Ray Ray 7 to 8, he thinking, well, shoot, they was listening to this type of music. My cousins, they do this, so I shape my personality. Like you saw it happening, but depending on your environment, your level of thinking, you nurtured it versus then dealing with it. But yeah, good point.
Somebody at the family reunion said, "Y'all better watch that boy." Somebody said it.
I guess like parents, you know your kids, right? You know what your kids are capable of, and they give, because I think they give signs at home before they go out in the street. You know what I mean? So if they talk back to, and I've seen it because my daughter does competitive cheer, right? And I see the way some of these kids talk to their parents. And I'm like, how can I expect you to even think about respecting me if you don't respect the people that do everything for you? You know what I'm saying? So it's just way different. And furthermore, especially, and I'll reference again the stuff going on back in my hometown. These are teenagers, right? They're carrying firearms. They aren't old enough to buy a gun. Where they're getting the guns from? And you can't tell me that as a parent, you don't know that your child has a gun or that your child is out here doing whatever they got to do. But at the same time, when they go out here and do something, you hear crickets. Nobody talks about it. It's kind of like one of those unspoken things.
Now, I will tell you, in reference to your comment about some parents not knowing, trust me, there are some parents that their kids have them completely snowed. There's some clueless parents out there, I'm telling you. I think it goes back to what you said about the reason why they're clueless is because they work so hard to do these things for the kids, and then they feel obligated because they don't have the time that they're supposed to need to put in for the kids, so they supplement it with not paying attention to them the way they need to pay attention to them, allowing them to do what they want to do, just giving them money and not even knowing what they're spending the money on. So yeah, it's some got them snowed, man, trust me.
And consistency too. So if I could just chime in right here and say consistency, parents have to be consistent with it. Don't tell them, oh, I'm going to take TV away from you for a week and you know that you're not. Then the child's going to go, okay, I'll wait her out. Be consistent with that, especially with that discipline. Discipline does not always have to equal corporal punishment.
No.
Discipline could be one of the best discipline techniques that I use as an administrator is, okay, you go ahead and turn in your cell phone to me right now. Kids just want to, you gonna take my cell phone? Look, Johnny, it's the law, and you're not supposed to have it. Go ahead and give it up. I mean, as a parent, you take away their devices from them. Of course, they're gonna walk around and mope and cry. You don't want to hear it. Y'all just got to tough it out. So to my parents out there, be consistent and tough it out. Yet say what you're gonna do and do what you're gonna say and stand on business. That's it.
And then here's another method too, just off GP. And I think that we eliminate this because it doesn't matter no more. I'm gonna be, whatever. How about just loving? Like whenever a child knows that you love them and you expect the best of them and you set standards and expectations on them and they hold you to a certain regard and they feel like whatever you say is golden in the law. When you tell them you're disappointed, sometimes that's enough. Before you put your hands on them, when they realize they have messed up, they turn to putty because they like, I let down the one person who I know loves me and does whatever is necessary and expects the best of me. Sometimes that's it. Like a lot of parents sometimes, I wonder, especially when I'm mentoring, is that a conversation? We talk about when we came up, there was an understanding of who your parents were. You had to represent your family name. You understood when you went in the community, you were not just solely a child aimlessly wandering. Somebody saw you. You was, like you said earlier, Hook, you said that's so-and-so child. There was a standard. And so like not only did the your mom and them say it, but the school had it, the preacher, we would see men on the corner who we had respect from because they were like thriving or doing stuff in the community. And if they saw us, we was doing something we ain't had no business, we hit it. Like there was a level of respect because there was that. You see what I'm saying? Like
The reverence.
I think that's the thing that we have gotten away from the most is that's not being taught, the reverence, and then the kids don't feel like anybody necessarily has their best interests at heart. I did a panel. I'm gonna stop talking a second. A panel discussion because back where I'm from, Hook, just like you, we got kids with like I'm talking about switches, all types of stuff. And like it's so crazy because in small towns, everybody know everybody business,
Where
but
you
nobody
from,
don't
Dion?
know, huh?
Where you from?
Johnsonville, South Carolina, the PD. Yeah, you know it. Little small town, you know. But yeah, but like everybody knows when it comes to that, it's quiet. And so what I've learned is that's no longer in place. The kids are saying it. You know, the devices are now parenting the kids because parents are like, here go that, get you that, and that'll get you out your face. But at the end of the day, they need love.
And Dion, to your point, because even back when I was coming up, even the dope boys, right? Like like they were cool with my brothers and my cousins and stuff like that. And if they saw me someplace I shouldn't have been, they were like, you ain't about that life, so you need to get your ass back home. You know what I'm saying? So they would
Immediately.
Yeah, so they wouldn't be like, hey man, come do what I do. They knew I wasn't by being in no street like that. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, hey, your mama wouldn't want you out here. So I don't think we have that level of accountability anymore. And it's sad because and I don't know. It's really kind of hard to. I don't want to place blame on anybody, but accountability has to start somewhere. But it's just one of those things where the values that I think that we were raised with and that we had back then, I just don't think is there anymore.
That's the question though, Hook. How? Because now we're the parents.
Right.
So how is it that we digress? I don't even say we digress. I don't know where we went to because like, I don't know in the history of time, African-American parents have been in this place that we in.
Yeah, we're like, what the hell happened? Where did it go wrong? Where did it shift? Because I know I was a single parent for most of my children's rearing, and I ran a tight ship. Like they knew my expectations, and they still hold to it. It's still being adults. I can say I'm disappointed in you and get a visceral reaction. They don't want to hear that. So like, but for me, it started young. It started at 1, 2, 3. We didn't wait till they were 7, 8, 9, and then try to instill these kind of values in them where they respect adults, where they respect authority, and where they want to do the right thing. You teach them the benefits of doing the right thing. Like those things start early, and I know I don't see a lot of parents doing that. You see a lot of babies running around just running amok, and you be like, you gonna get this baby? You gonna get this 2-year-old having a fit on the floor? Don't let them do that, because this is where it starts with you rearing your child at this age, 1 and 2.
Well, in this conversation, when you talk about mothers and homes, don't take this the wrong way, April and Shannon.
No, I know where you're going because it took 2 to make that baby, Dion. So you can't freeze out the baby.
Whoa.
So go ahead.
But April, that's not the argument I'm making, sweetheart.
Oh.
I'm simply saying, let's go ahead and get off the right. Off the rip, it does take 2 people in order to create a child. Therefore, the father has to plant the seed and she gives birth. All right, naturally, already just in the makeup of a DNA of a woman, she's a nurturer. She's going to nurture her. So by nature, whenever this child is doing this stuff, her thing is, it's okay. It's gonna be all right. No.
What woman you talking about?
No, it's not okay.
Listen. In the 80s and the 90s, it was not okay. But in the 2000s and now,
this new generation.
Okay. It's definitely
a new generation. It's not women.
It's definitely, hey, he's like it's like when we were coming up, we used to love to see Batman when he did To Be Continued, and he came back and did greater things after that. Now it's like, no, his flaws and all his issues are, no, we got to be mindful of these things. We got to, like, because I get boys in my summer camp. I had a boy last summer. His mama said, well, he has I forget what she said, ADHD. He not gonna look up. he need a lot of care and tender, you know, so on and so forth. I said, ma'am, drop his son off. We're gonna be all right. He left him. And literally 45 minutes into our first exercise, he started that crap. Started holding his head down, acting like he doing this here, like a little boy on the GIF, and all that kind of care. I said, hey, come here. I said, you see where you at? Look around you. He looked. I said, you see men and you see other boys, right? I said, yeah. I said, how are we handling ourselves? Aren't we sitting up? We're having dialogue. We're expressing how we're feeling. We're talking through those issues, whatever. I said, you see that, right? He said, yes, sir. I said, that's what you're going to do for the rest of the day. Had no problems out of him. Again, you're nurturing and covering something that don't even need to exist because you're so nurturing. You don't understand when you need to draw the line and say, look, no. I get it. We can figure out what the methods we need to do to try to get you what you need to. But some of this stuff is because you've nurtured it and it's so comfortable now. And so in my trauma and my issue, I'm going to celebrate that because that's the biggest thing. Not the growth of it. I'm not going to come out of it. I'm more so staying in this place because I'm going to get all I need. And I say that to the moms because most dads and men, we ain't tolerating that mess. Tighten up.
I think some of that though is just where we are in these times, because before people may have had these issues, but you didn't have all these diagnoses, right? And I work in a place where we have children that are on IEPs and things like that. And you have these counselors and these doctors telling you that this is how you should treat this child because they have this. And then you get back to the rules changing. Now the parents are afraid to do certain things to the children because this doctor, this counselor, this social worker has told them that their child needs an IEP and should be treated a certain way and do certain things with them. So like it creates where the mindset changes about what you can do with your child and how you can rear them.
Why is that so easily accepted though? That is your child.
I'm not saying it's easily accepted, but over the years, it feels like it's been more and more indoctrinated into our society.
But that's the problem.
Where everybody has a diagnosis.
True. But that's the problem though. Just because everybody, the world, doctors or whoever are saying whatever, I do know my child still. Mm-hmm. I'll take what you're giving me. I'm going to spit out the bones and apply what's necessary. But I don't change my whole setup when I know this child. I know what they need. I birthed them. I'm not going to let you just tell me, oh, you can't discipline. Negro, you don't raise these. You when something go down, this is my child. I don't care what your government law is. Bump y'all. You not, yeah, bump. I don't care about no niggas. Excuse my language.
Now you could, and what I
express yourself on this show. It's all right.
You know, because like when my daughter was younger, she had an issue with doing like the basic stuff in the mornings, right? Washing your face, brushing your teeth, you know, doing these things, right? And the therapist, quote unquote, would say, "Oh, what you should do is write out a checklist, put it on a wall." I'm like, I'm not dumbing my child down. She know what she got to do. To me, you know, I mean, that's placating the whole thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, why am I going to sit here and get like, you know what you got to do in the morning? You know, you got to wash your face. You know, you got to brush. You know, you got to take a shower. So I'm not going to sit here and make a checklist and, you know, have what my child dependent on what that checklist says. So that's one of those things. Like, and I get people have their expert opinions, but as a parent, that's your child. You know what I mean? So you have to decide what's in the best interest. You know your child. Because if they grow up, they go out there and shoot and kill somebody, everybody's responsible except, you know, them. And obviously the parent is going to be left to hold the bulk of that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Do you still see it?
Say again?
I don't know who that is.
What? I don't know what happened.
What happened?
We got an extra voice going on in the
make sure it's not just me.
Not just you. It's all of us.
Can y'all hear me though?
Yeah.
I hear you and somebody else. I don't know where they're coming from.
I don't know. Ain't nobody else on here except us.
Well, there's a question to Dion in the chat.
Was you watching live?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in though.
Oh, I didn't even know it was a chat.
Huh?
I'm gonna jump in. I know they're talking, but I'm gonna jump in because you did mention IEP, which is an education plan. But
it's an echo somewhere.
Somebody got their cell phone. Well, I see there's a question to Dion. That has never happened. What is that?
Okay, I'm gonna jump in. So you did mention IEP, individual education plan, and academically, it's supposed to give support within the school setting. But like everyone is saying, parents make the ultimate decision. You can't force a parent to, accept something that they're not gonna realistically think it's best for their child. Each parent know their child. You can only, in your expert um, value, share information that can enhance that child's life. But I just want to talk to our single moms for a second. I had a strategy, and the strategy was I always allowed his father. For right now, his father might be on here listening because we're Facebook friends. And I've always allowed his father to do the disciplining that I could not do as the mother because my heart was too tender. And his dad can attest to that. And my son could. If it was a situation where I felt that I could not discipline my son, I would call his dad and he would drive all the way from Florida. And trust and believe, if he drove from Florida to come to South Carolina, somebody was going to get a butt cut. Not only that, I remember there was one time I just left the house for the whole weekend because I know his daddy was going to beat him, literally. And my son is 30 something years old, so they can't put the man in jail for this. And so what I did, I knew I wouldn't be able to take it. So I left and I found someplace else to be for the weekend. And I told him, fix your child, handle him. And I forbade my son to tell me anything that his dad did to him. I didn't want to hear about it. I said, and if you tell me I'm calling him and he gonna do it again, because I could make your daddy do things you can't. And I did. I told him that. And that's just the way I handle it. I've only had to call his dad to drive all the way from Florida, maybe 2 or 3 times out of his life. Whenever his daddy came and put his foot down, it nipped everything in the bud. So to my single moms, don't alienate the father. I mean, there may be reasons beyond circumstances that the dad cannot be in the child's life, lawful reasons. But for the most part, have a functioning relationship so the father can do the discipline. And dads do discipline different from moms do.
Sometimes.
I have twin grandsons.
Yeah, sometimes. I gotta say, I didn't have the luxury of calling the daddy.
No, and I understand that, but I remember now I said, Shannon,
single mothers
that was an
can be
extenuating
disciplinarians
circumstance
to their children, and it also nurtures at the same time. Like the things are not mutually exclusive things.
But we got to make sure that we don't. Okay, so I raised a son. I had to make sure that he wasn't my surrogate spouse either. Let me just go ahead and throw that out there. Yeah, Dion loves
they be doing that.
Because what I'm telling you,
they do.
They be doing that. A lot of moms, oh, I'm gonna let my son sleep in the bed with me. Nope, my son didn't sleep in the bed with me. Or because then see, they mess it up when you want to date that good man, and no good man. And I know I'm gonna get some messages in the chat box, but no good man is gonna deal with our misbehaving children.
Of course not.
So for my ladies out there that want that good man, go ahead and make sure that your child is respectful, because that good man don't want to raise someone else's child, perhaps, and he definitely don't want to deal with some baby
badass kids.
Okay, no hate messages, please.
No, and April, you made 2 very good points. One is that when you're dealing with a custodial, non-custodial parent type of deal, the discipline has to be consistent, because it's, if it's one way when you're at the custodial person's house, and then another way when you're at the non-custodial person's house. Now it's like, I'll use my daughter as an example. When she's with me, I have her in line. She does, she knows what she needs to do. Then she'll go with her mom. Then she'll come back. Now I have to reteach her everything that I taught her before, because it wasn't always the case when she went to her mom's house. And secondly, you mentioned that in terms of with like nobody wants to raise baby's kids, and because with my wife's daughter, because I don't use step anything. Like my wife's daughter is my daughter, so I don't do the whole step thing. But it was an easy transition for me because my wife had her in line. Like, she was respectful. It wasn't like a battle. I didn't have to fight it. It's like it was always like yes sir, no sir, doing all these other things. It was really a smooth transition, so it made my job a heck of a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Shannon, can I address this, Alexander?
Yeah.
She says to Dion, I asked, is a bad dad still a dad? Meaning, regardless of how good a dad is, that dad still needs to be given unlimited opportunities to be that dad. How do I answer this? Well, for starters, he's still a dad, because you don't necessarily have to be a father to be a dad? Yeah, because, and even in such, the reason why I say this is because DNA makeup wise, all right. So if you have a child with somebody, even if they aren't in that person's life, that child's life, their DNA is in them. They're going to have similarities in personalities and behaviors to this person. So they still need to have a relationship with the father in order to cultivate and learn, because even as they get older, they need to know and become self-aware about who they are, why they are the way they are, and if they have a relationship with their father, they can look at that thing and be like, okay, this is where this comes from, and I can fix this as I cultivate and grow as a man. I think I'm answering that question. The unlimited opportunities, I don't think, if he's not causing physical harm, mental harm, or breaking down that child, I don't think there should be any limited opportunities, because that's still his child. I do believe men should be present and active as much as possible, just as much as a mother, even if they aren't the custodial parent, because that's still their child. I know it's difficult when you don't live in the household, but yet and still, that is still your responsibility. And so therefore you should still be present as much as you can be, if not more than, because you can't be.
Yeah.
I think I answered that.
And Dion, to your point, I think what a lot of and I promise I'm not picking on the ladies here at all, but I think a lot
Yeah,
of
y'all is.
I think a lot of what
Go ahead,
the single moms have to understand is that he may have been an awful significant other. He
Yeah.
may have been an awful boyfriend,
But
but he can still be a good dad. There's a
Yeah.
distinction. Like I may have cheated, I may have run the street, I may have done all these things as a boyfriend, but as a father, I'm gonna be there for my child. And I think a lot of single moms have difficulty distinguishing between the two.
Hold on, Hook.
Don't
forget about
start,
your single
Dion.
dads
Don't start.
too now. No, because we do have single dads. My some of my cousins, they were raised by a single father, and so for a single father, it can be equally as hard, because here you might have a single dad, and he still wants to have a relationship, and he may feel some kind of way about bringing women, or because he want to date.
Right.
Okay, so he's not just trying to just check the box and pick, and then that could present a problem in itself. I know a lot of single dads, and they're very competent. They were single for one reason or another. Their spouse may have passed on, or in my cousin's case, mom just didn't want to be mom anymore, and she left him with a 1-year-old and a 1-month-old. She just couldn't do it, and he reared those children. He was an excellent father. When it was time for his daughter to wear her bra, he took his daughter bra shopping. When it was time for prom, he took her prom shopping. So let's not count out our single dads either. Yeah.
And in that too, I want to say this too. Some of the issues we may be seeing and why we may be seeing, I often encounter, is that because there is a issue keeping the main thing. So if you got two parents who, one, they're not together, but they created a child together, sometimes the focus is taken off of the child because the desires to have a relationship are no longer there. So the child ends up being the one that gets neglected and doesn't get what's needed. Because at the end of the day, these two people aren't emotionally intelligent enough to say, you know what? We had a thing, this happened, but we have this child, this is priority. So in the absence of our relationship, we still have to do what's priority, and that's raise this child together collectively. You understand what I'm saying? I see that a lot too, and it's like, oh, I don't like him, or she this, that, and the third, and I get it, but at the end of the day, that baby don't have nothing to do with that.
It's the baby. Yeah,
They-
it's the baby.
Yep.
That's a good point, Dion, because even in my situation, like, we weren't together, but it was always an open door, right? Wherever the kid is, you can be. You don't even have to ask. There's no question. There's no, I gotta make sure Shannon's all right if I come. No, you come. We hear you come, and it's still the same way today. We hear you come. You're the other parent. And I think it's important to make sure that you have an atmosphere where people are comfortable to do that, right? Bring your significant other. I don't care. I don't want you no more. Like, bring them too. Everybody can come.
You
right?
don't. But guess what? Ain't no woman having no child for you if she don't want you.
Amen.
No, that's not. I wanted him
Yeah,
at one
that's true,
point,
that's
but
true.
once it's over. Like you said.
Majority of the time, they still want to be with him.
Nah,
It's what it is.
nah. That'd be
Yeah.
the other way around. Y'all boys be still wanting
Oh.
stuff.
Well, my point being is because of these factors, the child is being neglected. And again, we're back to where we were. Social media, outer influences are now raising and rearing this child. And it is on, the responsibility is primarily on who? The parent.
Yeah.
The
So
mother.
how do we say, oh, well, we're gonna? It's like this right here. It's like I'm a PK, y'all. I'm just using this for example. I always hate how they'll be like, she pregnant, she can't do nothing in church, but you don't want to talk about sex. Or what the hell you thought was gonna happen? You
Right.
ain't teaching, so what you want? Like you can't get it like that. So as a parent, I feel like, okay, this child makes poor decisions, they're doing stuff or whatever, but like it's going to point back to your parenting. It's going to point back. And so you gotta eat. The accountability has to start with being a parent. I have to be accountable for my responsibility, what God has given me to rear in this earth. And so like it's gotta go back home, you know?
Yeah. And I do wanna ask one more question, y'all. So like, how could holding parents liable for their children's crimes impact family dynamics and relationships? Like, what's the backlash or what's the impact on doing so?
Well, I want to make sure I touch on something because the term that keep getting used is holding parents accountable for the child's crime.
Yeah.
Most of the time when these parents are charged, they're not being charged with what the child did. They're being charged with either covering up what their child did
Mhm.
or lying for the child or something.
Accessory.
Yes, most of the time that's the charges when you charge a parent. And as a parent, I think what they need to realize is, you want to protect the child, you want to be there for your child, but once you have knowledge that this child has committed a crime, and once you engage yourself in that behavior, in covering and stuff like that, you breaking the law yourself. A reality is reality. That's what it is,
Not they breaking it themselves.
Yeah, they're breaking the law themselves. So
They don't know them laws. They didn't know that was a law.
It's
called parenting.
Yeah, it's about it's called parenting, but when you cross that line and you're doing something criminal, then you done stepped out of that parenting role and you are now in the criminal role.
Well, getting on that, the one thing that has me is and I don't know the whole specifics of the case, but this last one where the parent came in with the child to turn him in and then got arrested herself. And I'm thinking to myself, is there any space for where you're talking to your child, say, hey, you did what? Oh, well, this is what we're going to do. And it might take a day to prepare that. And then you take the child to turn themselves in, and now you're being arrested too because you didn't turn them in yesterday. And I don't know if that's how it happened.
Yeah,
but I'm just wondering.
You need to turn them in immediately. I'm sorry, call that attorney, call them family members, and get to that police station immediately because time can be a factor in there. And I'm not speaking as a law enforcement, but time can be a factor.
Yeah.
The longer you wait is the more the story can evolve. So as soon as reach out and get help. Call your attorney if you have to first. But make sure you take care of that. We can't sleep on this and talk about it tomorrow morning. No, that's not that type of situation. We need to go ahead and they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get down there to that police department and have go on Facebook. I need an attorney pro bono. Meet me down at come on.
Somebody.
There's too many resources out there. Somebody.
What's the movie? The movie where the judge son hit a kid and he tried to
hit the gangster's kid. Yeah.
And he tried to cover
it. It was a series, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Your Honor.
And so I think in some regards I see it because I empathize with the father because I was like, dang, like he messed up. And initially he was going to take him in there to have him charged for it, but he saw who's the offended person was, and he was like, no, we got to get up out of here, because he wanted to protect his son. But I think that's a delicate place to be in. But like, again, I think it goes back to the ring. And when you talk about accountability, like I think in this situation we're talking about, somebody helped him cover up what he did. Except I wonder if they had just taken accountability for it and addressed it and owned it, would the outcome be different? And I think that's where it comes back to the character of the parent too, because what are you teaching? What's in you, and what are you teaching in your home to prepare your child so that when they go into the world, they're an asset rather than a liability? Now, kids gonna make crazy decisions even when you teach them. However, have you done your part? And in that situation, calling them to the carpet, hey dog, you did this. I want to try to save you. I made all the calls I can. We just got to eat it on this. And as life, as a man, respectfully, and I know y'all don't like this. Women can kind of skate through sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Nah, with us, nah, bro. That's it. Do it. Get to it, and that's it. Like ain't no getting around, bro. Eat that, and take it to the chin. Keep going.
You can't hit your kid.
Yeah, I do.
But what we getting caught up in is the word parent, because for years we've been charging friends, everybody else with accessories and helping after the fact, things of that nature. We shouldn't get so caught up on the fact that it's just a parent.
Right.
Think about it from that perspective, Fred. That's okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Think about it,
But that's what we at now. That's why Fred, y'all have all these issues. It's 1,000,001 crimes. Nobody don't know what happened because ain't nobody got the character enough to be like. But they ready to call you whenever they feel like something happened to them. But whenever everything going on with so and so, oh nah, we ain't seen nothing, bro. I don't know nothing. I wouldn't even know.
They gonna put them shirts together. They'll free
Right.
Johnny.
Free whoever. Yeah, and it's like I get it, but I don't. In being a parent, I totally understand you want to protect your kids, but you also got to realize your kid impacted somebody else's child and somebody else's family, especially if they took a life. So there's another person isn't here because of something your son or your daughter did, and how do you live with that? And how do you know what I mean? I would love to think that I would turn my daughters in. I would love to think I would. I really would, but I'm not in that situation. So I honestly and truthfully, I can sit here on the podcast and I can say, yeah, that was my daughter. We going down to the police station and we gonna turn. I'd love to say that, but fact is, I don't know what I would do because there'd be so many thoughts running through my mind. But I do think that the right thing definitely needs to be done. So I want to make that clear.
But
Well, look, I have a question. Would you turn your son in? Because as we've clearly stated, there are double standards. Rules are different for women or girls than there are for boys and men. And I mean, if it was my daughter, I might be feeling along the lines that you are, but my son, personally, I would turn him in because I don't want my child to be hunted or killed. And in the society that I live in, I have seen through my experience, and this is my experience, that a Black man can be hunted down and killed. So for my son, he would be turned in immediately. For my daughter, I would have to get some help just so I can make the right decision. And that's sometimes when you call your village in to make sure you make the right decision as a parent, because sometimes you can't make the right decision because you're so emotional and emotionally involved at the moment that you're irrational in your decision-making skills. But trust me, I wouldn't want my son to be hunted down and killed in these streets. I raised my son differently, knowing that he was a Black man growing up in America than I handled my nieces, or if I had a daughter, how I probably would have reared her. But nah, I'd have to turn to my son because I don't want him hunted down and killed. I'm sorry.
But if we have these conversations early on with the child, you let them know growing up, hey, if my dad told me at early, hey, I'm letting you know, if you do something, I'm gonna support you. But if you're guilty of it, I gotta do what I gotta do. You gotta tell them. Because if you call them, if you baby them, and then they do something, then they're gonna feel like you're not going. You never said to them before that, hey, you would turn them in or whatever. Let them know at an early age, hey, you get caught doing something you do, I'm gonna turn you in.
I told my son that I ain't coming. I love you to death. You my heart.
I told mine, I'm not putting my house up.
You my little young king.
But Dad, I ain't putting no money on your books. And thank God I didn't have to actually be put in that situation, because that joker believed me that I wasn't gonna do that. Man, at one time when I was when I was working for DSS, that was I'm gonna call DSS. So y'all said, boy, I am DSS. What are you doing? And he knew I was working for DSS. He was scared. He ain't never said he was gonna call DSS ever again. Never.
Yeah. I think that's what we sleep on, though. Respectfully, this podcast right here is if we had to go through our backgrounds and who we are, these things that we're discussing, they're normal. None of this is, but to another demographic, this conversation is far away from anything they ever thought about. Like, some people think that going to jail and prison and stuff like that is cool. Like, like, it's real. Like, some of these kids have bought into these mentalities of
Right.
some of these rappers and people they see, and they like, this is the culture. And I'm like, bro, that ain't my culture. That's yours. I'm not with that. I ain't going to jail. I ain't gonna be gay for the state. Nothing. Freedom is me. I need to be free.
Tubi
Freedom is me.
on too much Tubi TV. They watch Tubi TV and believe
don't talk
everything
about
they see on
Tubi
the
now.
Dirty D. And I do love Tubi, but what they see on there, they think that's real life and want to imitate it. I've been telling them, you watch too much Tubi.
But access. I'm gonna say this. I know I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry. Access. Parents have
You're
control of
good.
that. Parents have control of that. Like I said earlier about the Uzi. You ain't telling your 3-year-old you got the house for the weekend. I'll see you when I get back. No. They have to grow to that place, and then you have to teach them to instill these things that we're talking about in the process. Now, when they get older, they're gonna make decisions. Like, and I'll be candid with y'all. My son got into a little spill at Dutch Fort recently. Crazy decision. Wasn't thinking. I was too close. I was probably been in the paper, but I held my ranks and I handled it another way. I did another type of parenting. I did mental, but he did something crazy, and it's like we walked through the process of what he did, conflict resolution, understanding whatever, and he was just like, I just wasn't thinking. They do that sometimes, like we did too, but we were just good at covering stuff up.
Right.
Very good. Very good. Very good. My mama still don't know. And she gone on to heaven, but
She know
don't
now,
know.
honey. She know now.
No, she don't. She don't know.
So yeah.
And to Fred's point, and I think one of the things is those conversations you're saying that need to happen, they aren't happening. You know what I'm saying? So it's we're being more reactive than proactive. Like, after something's happened, we're like, hey, this is what should have happened, but we need to be having these conversations, especially whether you man or woman. As Black people, we already know there's a target on our backs, and we already know we have a system in place that doesn't necessarily always want the best for us. So we do have to be careful with that. But there are no right answers, man. Now, obviously, we're not going to solve the issue here tonight. But I think that this is a conversation that is long overdue. Is when we need to have more often. Because we're all parents, so we understand it. We've been there. We also understand that we need to make sure that our kids are in the best possible position to not put themselves in that type of situation. But we're a little over time. But before we peel out, man, I want to hear like some final thoughts from everybody. Like, what are some lasting impressions that you want to leave everyone with? And April, we're going to start with you, sis. So what are some things you want to leave the audience with?
Sure. So thank you, everyone, for this opportunity. I hope something I've shared with you this evening has been valuable, but something that I would like to leave our audience member with to think about. Discipline styles and techniques are cultural, and we have to know who we are first. Once you become a parent, you're no longer the child, okay? It's their time to go ahead and have the experiences, and you have to make those tough decisions as a parent. If you feel at that moment you can't make that decision, reach out to a friend, reach out to the other parent, and just go ahead and do what's in the best interest of the child. But don't be so reactive or overly emotional that you get your child to a situation where they don't want to come and talk to you and tell you things, because one, they're fearful that every time it's going to be something that's corporal, that's going to address their decision-making skills or their lack thereof. And so if I could just leave that with you all, be a kinder, gentler, firm, and consistent parent. And thank you all for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, Dion, what you got, brother?
Oh, you know what I have? I would like to leave with the parents to return back to their youth. Go back to whenever you were a child. I know oftentimes we talk about trying to give our children the best, but sometimes it takes going back to where we was when we were kids and how we wish we may have had certain things or opportunities, or we would have got certain lessons and certain teachings. Instead of giving them iPads and the TV, let them go and y'all watch it together and y'all teach through those moments of certain things. They like power. Y'all want to teach them all that great stuff early. Teach them about, honor, about character, about respect, about loyalty, all that stuff. Those are teaching moments and family moments. If you're going to let them indulge in that type of stuff, teach the lessons so they'll understand how to apply them so that it can be an asset rather than a liability. Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that your children go farther than you could ever dream, even for yourself. And so the only way we do that is by teaching and giving them the tools that we didn't have whenever we were kids. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. All right, Fred, what you got, brother?
You know, I would say, like we've been stressing, be present. You know what your children are doing, and don't believe everything that they tell you. You know, so often we get so caught up and let them just talk, and we believe everything they tell them. You know, check up on your kids, just like our parents used to check up on us. Be nosy, get in their business, know who their friends are, know where they're hanging out, know what they're doing. I'm not saying you got to watch them 24/7, and also let them know that you're present. Let them know that you're in their business. Because a lot of times that's the problem that we have. A lot of these parents are just allowing these kids to raise themselves. And if you as a parent find yourself in that situation where your child has gotten into some type of trouble and you know that they did it, like April said earlier, reach out to an attorney. You know, don't run, don't hide, don't get involved, don't get yourself, because what good are you going to do do your family if you get yourself caught up in something criminally trying to protect a child who did something wrong that they shouldn't even done. So again, I appreciate this platform, and I hope we have more like this.
Absolutely. Shannon, what you got, sis?
I was just gonna say, I think the word accountability ran through the conversation tonight, and it's accountability for the parents and it's accountability for the children to start teaching that. And I think it starts when they're young. You can't wait till your children get in middle school and high school and then try to teach them about being accountable for their actions. You have to start when they're babies, when they're in preschool, when they're in elementary school, and just teaching them these values. So hopefully when they grow older, you won't see them committing crimes where you then face having to be accountable for them, or facing one thing we didn't really touch on is the civil side of it. A lot of these parents may be low income parents, and now they're having to be charged also criminally and civilly for what their child is doing. So I think it just starts young. It's definitely making sure that parents are parenting. And I think we've gotten away from all of that for many, many reasons. The way society has changed the rules around raising children now. You have DSS getting involved. You have the police department getting involved if you do certain things with your children. So I just think we have to find more creative ways to be good parents. And I want to thank Fred, Dion, and April for being on the panel tonight. You guys gave some great insight, and we just appreciate you for coming on This, That, and the Third.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And for me, man, I'll end with, and parents, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. So listen to me carefully. Kids lie. If you didn't already know, everything that they tell you is not true.
Shut up.
When my daughter, when my daughters tell me things, I ask fact-finding questions. So I'm asking and asking and asking. And then, once I see they're telling a lie, I redirect the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. I think we have this culture now where we're more interested in being liked than expected. So we want our kids to like us. We want them to be our friend. We don't want them mad with us. I had a conversation with my daughter the other day. She's telling me some stuff, and to me, it seemed like a bunch of drama, right? So I corrected her, and she was like, well, see, this is why I don't like telling you stuff, because yada, yada, yada. I said, you know what? If this is what you're going to be talking to me about, then don't talk to me at all. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? I said, if you want to talk to me about school, let's talk about that. You want to talk about your grades, particulars, if you have issues, let's talk about that. But I don't want to talk. I don't want to do anything, because all that's going to do is get you in trouble. And I told her, I'm not your friend. I'm not here to. I don't care if you like me or not. I'm your father, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't correct you when I saw you were doing something wrong. Yeah. So I don't know what the conversation is going to be like when she get back to her mom's house, but when she's here at my residence, there's no friendship that's going on here. You know what I mean? I'm approachable. You can talk to me, but I'm not going to enable you, especially if I see that you're going down the wrong path. But again, this has been a phenomenal conversation, man. I truly wish we had more time and more ears.
Yeah.
So again, Fred, Dion, April, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for your insight. hopefully, we can have you guys back on in future segments. Shannon, and as always, you already know how we
Yes.
roll. I appreciate your input, sis. And we'll
course.
see you guys again here in a couple weeks. So until next time, take care, and we'll be seeing you.